Welcome back, surfers. 2020. Just recently returned from a trip to Australia and New Zealand. Good to be back in California, where winter pretty much doesn't exist. It is 20 degrees Celsius, no clouds, no wind. Pretty much every day I've been back. The weather is nicer here in the middle of California winter than it was in the New Zealand summer. It's a little warmer over there, but it always seems to be windy in New Zealand. Anyway, while I was in Australia, I did a bunch of interviews. Did another interview with Tom Carroll, previous guest and legend. G. Cormack, another previous guest. Samba Man and Matt Granger. A few others in there as well, so plenty of episodes to come in the near future. Not this weekend, but the following weekend, I am hosting a surfing shortboard workshop here in Malibu at the Traveller Surf Club, which is just opposite First Point. So that's Saturday and Sunday, January the 25th and 26th from 9 till 11 a.m. We'll be talking about surfboard design, wave reading, surfing technique, training for surfing, lots more. Most of this presentation is based off of Clayton Nianaba's presentation. So big thanks to Clayton for letting me use his material. Whilst it is geared towards the shortboarder, completely relevant for all fishers and mid-length type boards and surfers. And if you're a longboarder, you're still going to get a lot out of this as well. So that's January the 25th and 26th. Space is limited, so please advance tickets. More details and tickets are available at travellersurfclub.com, and there is a direct link to that in the bio of my Instagram, also in the show notes of the app that you're listening to this on as well. And on to today's episode. My guest for this episode is Cris Mills, a returning guest. He first featured on the show back in 2016, episode 11 in the back catalogue. Cris is the creator of surfstrengthcoach.com and has just recently released an app called his app is Surf Athlete. Go and check that out. And today we're just riffing about health and wellness, surfing, Netflix, homelessness, loads of stuff. Pretty informal interview, basically just us chatting. And parents, this one's probably not fit for the Groms. And if you want to find out more about Cris, surfstrengthcoach.com. Instagram is the same. Links to all that in the show notes and on the Instagram post for this. The song that is easing us into this interview is I Am California by John Craig. What did you have for breakfast?
Bacon with sauteed pears, spinach, eggs, coffee with gelatin powder. That was it. What do you have for breakfast?
What did I have for breakfast? Black coffee and waves.
That's a pretty good breakfast, man.
Yeah, so I like to start the day just a little bit of black coffee and surfing.
Do you do the whole fasting gig?
Yeah, I try and fast. I try not to eat anything before sort of 9, 10 o'clock. And I'll have an early dinner at around 6:30. So there's a decent fast in there. And I don't always drink coffee. If I get a good sleep, I won't drink coffee. So yeah, but I do love coffee.
Like I just said when I poured that cup, I love the uppers, man. No, coffee's epic. Like, yeah, coffee, it's good. There was a point in time where I couldn't drink it. I was going through some health stuff, and I'd find like crazy blood sugar dysregulation from it, and had to back it off. But I thoroughly enjoy it. The whole process behind it, right? Like, you grind it. Like, there's a whole ritual behind the coffee thing that I enjoy, I think, more so than maybe even the coffee. Like smoking joints, right? So when I was younger, I used to smoke a lot of joints, blunts in college and everything. But there's, I think, still a ritualistic process of like, I could see why I think a lot of people with cigarettes, it's the ritual behind it, the process, rolling the cigarette, contemplation. It's a pause in life generally. So like, even still, man, like, so I've been in California and I was like, I hit my sister up. I'm like, Nicole, see if you can get some pot. And she's like, Chris, we can just go to the shop. And I was like, oh yeah, it's that whole thing in California. So even then, like, just the process of like rolling a spliff, it's similar to coffee. I think the whole contemplative, ritualistic aspect behind it. And, you know.
So you said you were going through some health issues?
Yeah. So there's still, like, I'm actually a bit foggy today. Brain foggy-ish. So long story, and I actually really haven't spoken much about it publicly before, but it culminated in a lot of heavy treatments, some of which were Lyme and Lyme co-infections, a bunch of metal chelation therapies, a bunch of gut stuff. And that probably, I started feeling weird when I was about 26 or 27. I'm 37 now. And the heavy treatments were probably about 3 years ago now. And there's still lingering stuff, but it's way better than it was.
So what brought it on, do you know?
When I look back at life now, it was kind of a stereotypical childhood development, nutrition, lifestyle thing that would lead to throw in a bunch of surf trips and gut infections. And it was partying through 20s into upper 20s. It was kind of a good culmination to wreak havoc on a system. So, you know, like growing up, lots of flus when I was young, lots of strep when I was young, standard American diet when I was young, gluten intolerance and dairy intolerance, but not being aware of it till I was like early 20s. Lots of booze and partying from like 20 to 26, 27. Gut infections starting when I was young. Like my grandfather lived in Guatemala, so I remember getting really sick down there when I was young. And then, you know, man, like you've done Central America, Asia, you pick up stuff that our immune systems and guts just aren't used to. And slowly break down the system.
Do you think part of it is just as your self-awareness increases and you start cutting out some of the processed foods and having a better lifestyle, then you just start becoming more aware of when you fall off the wagon, how bad it is?
100%. 100%, man. So, like you said, the physical awareness, generally, I don't know if, when dealing with clients, you probably see this as well, some people just aren't necessarily as physically self-reflective. Like, oh, I'm foggy today. Let me just pound coffee until I'm not foggy. And not necessarily correlating it with what they ate at dinner or what they ate the day before or did the day before. So I think, you know, for those of us in the health realm that have probably had issues, maybe we're a bit more sensitive to those fluctuations and aware of them. That's probably part of it for sure.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that strongly, because sometimes I fall off the wagon for a little while, usually over Christmas, and you kind of adapt to it.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Yeah,
I can eat bread for breakfast, and you know, drink 3 glasses of wine every night with family and friends, and I can function. And then Christmas is over and stuff, and you start getting back on your clean diet, and you go, oh wow, after a week or two back on it, you're like, oh shit, it's like, I can be way better.
Yeah. So my sister, not detrimentally, she'll have a drink. Like last night, she had a dirty martini while we were watching Watchmen, actually. We were just discussing that. And so while I've been here, I've only had maybe 2 drinks since I've been in California. And
wow.
I felt like utter shit the next day. And it's just, you know, because of health stuff, maybe I've got a detox system that's not necessarily ramped up to 100% full effect. But me not drinking most of the time, when you do drink, you feel it. Like you said, the body acclimatizes to it. Maybe it ramps up certain enzyme production within the liver.
For sure. You can get drink fit.
Drink fit. That's right. Start doing them drink curls.
Yeah.
Start building up some stamina for the holidays.
I do. Can I get you to lift this up a little? Yeah, so it's a little bit higher.
Maybe I'll
get right into it. Like it's just kind of like you want to like just caressing. Yeah. Just little, yeah. Like kind of big mouth it. Let's get nice and close. Maury. Get Get nice and close to her.
Man, I wish I could remember quotes from that show because they're so grotesquely brilliant. Like, you must have a couple off the top of your head, man.
I don't watch it with enough awareness to.
What is it, the Shame Wizard? When the
Shame
Shame
Wizard
starts showing up and it's such a filthy show. If you guys out there, if we're recording, people need to watch Big Mouth.
Yeah, it is great.
Hands
It is brilliant.
down. Yeah.
It is brilliant. It's like Maury and the Shame Wizard. Everyone has those personas in them. Those little people on their shoulder.
Yeah. That show's so good because everything, you can relate to everything in that show. Maybe not to the extreme that they take it to, but
I don't know.
most of it hits on something. Maybe not everything, but like there's little aspects that everybody through their like adolescence can at least. And it's like I said earlier, man, what those guys are getting away with on that Netflix cartoon is brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
Like little adolescent. I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. Go watch the show.
It's well worth watching.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with surfing?
Off and on. Born in Cocoa Beach. Lots of ocean time. Like growing up, always in and out of the water. Varying aspects. And then through high school, started surfing a bit here and there. Was always really, really drawn to it. Did lots and lots of skating. Lots of skateboarding. And then would surf every opportunity. But high school, college, I was more in like the St. Petersburg kind of Tampa area. And then after college, just started ramping up all the surfing. It was free, even through college, like Central America trips and so forth. And then after college, it's funny, I was talking to Fiona, my partner. We were discussing like how often we were surfing or whatnot. And like, so I've been here in California now a month roughly and haven't surfed at all. And I'm not too fazed by it, but like most of my surf life, except for the last couple of years, has always been these big kind of droughts. So like after college, I'd go surf for 6 months and live in a tent in Central America or something, and then not surf for like 5 months while I was bartending back in Florida, just making cash and kind of back and forth. So these big injections of surf. And then it wasn't until the last couple of years, roughly now living in like Indonesia and Australia, where it's surfing as much as possible.
So that the surfing and then not surfing, is that what kind of inspired what do I do in between when I'm not surfing to keep strong and fit kind of thing?
Pretty much, yeah. Because there would, like you said, these big droughts, and you know what I'm talking about, like the physical demands of surfing, physiologically, energetically. It's very different from anything you come across. And so, yeah, just starting to consider what I and others could do just to kind of ramp up that physical capacity.
Is that what initiated your dive into anatomy and physiology? Was your intro, was it? Or what?
So,
what'd you study after high school?
I went to college to go to law school was the intention. And so I have a criminal justice degree with like a focus, like pre-law kind of thing, and was getting ready to go to law school. I was going to move to California for law school and scratch that after some like world travel and realizing I want nothing of that. So in and amongst surf trips and bartending, I started I was like, well, I don't want to keep doing this bartending gig. I would have been about 24, 25 and did a personal training certification because I'd always been training, playing soccer, like always sport oriented in the gym, like all through college, hanging out with these like tattooed meathead dudes, and we'd just go lift and try to be as big as possible. And so always training. Started that first personal training cert through NASM. And then once, you know how it is, man, like once you dive down the rabbit hole, it's this never ending fucked up realm of intricacy and more of this, and I don't get this. And so then it just started evolving. And then as the training progressed and started seeing clients, and, you know, I just didn't want to be doing general weight loss and started just pushing more towards athletic development and then water sports oriented stuff. And then that started steamrolling more and more towards the predominance of what is now this whole surf fitness thing. So yeah, that's kind of the long story, kind of short, kind of fell into it and just matched, hey, I like fitness. I much prefer working with surfers versus a couple of people that just want to lose 10 pounds, you know, the kind of generic entrance point into fitness. So here we are a decade later and we're podcasting about fitness.
Yeah. So why, did you say criminal justice?
Yeah, man.
Why?
There was a part of me that at one point liked the idea of some type of federal law enforcement or something. So, you know, in like, I don't know if they do it in New Zealand, but like through high school in the States, you start taking these tests that will character development tests in a sense, like what type of job roles you might be suited for.
Oh, yeah.
I kept coming up with kind of this whole criminal justice oriented thing. And, you know, my dad pushing for professional aspects of life just started kind of, you know, maybe law isn't a bad way to go. So went to college and just, fortunately, my sister and I do really well academically. So went to school for free. And I'm now kind of as an adult bummed out that I kind of wasted a free education on a degree that I will never, ever utilize in any way whatsoever. But look, you know, it still worked out.
Yeah, you must use it in some form. No. Are you sure?
Positive. No, I really...
Like some of the principles that you learned.
No.
No?
No. Maybe
like
just being able
body justice?
That's a stretch, man. I think only doing well academically and through college, like you get an idea of how to study well. And so much of the health realm, you know, it's self-applied education, going to a cert, learning how like self-study, throwing yourself into books on the weekend for a couple hours, like being able to apply myself academically. I think that carried over. As an adult, I really wish I had kind of gone more of a medical route in school. Just as an adult now, it'd help open doors if I was a Dr. Mills of some sort, you know? And my ego would like that. But, yeah, man, college, criminal justice.
Because, I mean, and this is my thinking, like in the health and fitness world,
yeah,
there's a lot of crooks.
Man, rife with crooks.
There's a lot of criminals. So, and you've gone out, and I'm guessing that you've done a lot of weekend courses and done a lot of underground study in the health and fitness movement culture world. So there's a certain element of criminal justice in there because
being able to detect dickheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, being in college for 4 years has its carryover and benefits to life. I don't know if I've never really considered if it has directly applied.
Oh, so in the terms of like studying discipline, sort of.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
But yeah, hindsight, man, all reality, the educational system, again, I don't know how it is in Oz or New Zealand. Declaring your major in college at the age of 18, who the fuck knows? Most people don't know what it is they want to do at the age of 18. Yeah. So when I was 20, so getting ready to start junior year of college, I was pretty adamant. I want to take a break. And even with all like scholarships and stuff, it was feasible. And my mom, not holding this against her in the least, she's like, just stick it out. Or maybe it was after junior year. Anyways, I was going to take a break. And I think that probably would have been beneficial for me because I would have realized, let me switch majors, but then, you know, go back to school for years and years. But it was after college, not immediately going to law school and just taking time off to travel. Traveled Australia for like 10 months, went to Europe for a while, just doing like the 22-year-old backpacker gig. That changed my projection in life, travel, and just realizing you're just figuring your shit out, figuring yourself out a bit more.
Yeah.
And realizing I didn't want to go spend $200,000 on a law degree.
Yeah.
Who knows where I'd be sitting today?
So how many years did you do at college then?
I graduated in 4. I did it in 4.5, 4 in the summer. So
yeah.
That's, you know, your general 4-year degree kind of thing.
Yeah. And then, so you did your basic personal training course, and then what was your next dive into health and fitness?
Did NASM CPT, which actually I told you about that buddy of mine that I was just chatting with, reconnected after a decade. He's studying to take his NASM CPT cert this coming weekend. Funny how life cycles back like that. But after that, I started diving into all the Czech stuff. And then I still dive into the Czech stuff. And so I was hard into all the Paul Czech work for a long time. That's probably the foundation of the way I look at the body and health and training, for sure. And then after the Czech stuff, did the NSCA, CSCS. That's kind of the standard strength and conditioning curriculum in the States, or at least it was. I think it still is. And then, some of the FMS stuff, got my massage certifications, licensure, started doing a lot of soft tissue work. More recently, just took one of the functional range release certs. So it's the soft tissue realm of Andrea Ospina and his whole FRC thing. Their soft tissue curriculum's good. I was impressed with that.
Is it similar to ART or?
Think of, I haven't taken ART. I've been treated by ART practitioners, so I can't speak wholly to their methods. I think it is a more insightful approach to soft tissue than perhaps ART. ART makes you know your anatomy, right? Like you need to know what you're working on. But through some of the FR stuff, it's more research based in terms of what is structurally happening on the cellular level within tissue and how we can affect that, rather than just scraping through tissue. Like what are the times under tensions? What is actually happening in the extracellular matrix, the fibrosis? What are we doing? How can we change that? So it's just maybe a little more methodical in its approach.
And what else are you looking at studying? What else is there?
You and I were chatting about DNS. The DNS stuff is cool, and they are definitely capitalizing on the whole surf fitness thing. Like I'll give them that with their marketing. Some of the guys in the medical director realms within the WSL do a lot of the DNS stuff. You have more experience with it than I. So I'm sure you could speak to that. It's cool. I like it. It feels good. I need to do more of it to see how I can apply more of it. Foundation training, I think, is anybody that surfs and they need to be doing foundation training or aspects of it. I find it to be really powerful. Shout out to Eric and Jesse and the rest of the foundation training crew. Those guys are all legends, like really nice people. We were talking about crooks in the fitness industry. They are the polar opposite of crooks. Foundation training is legit. What else has been really cool lately? That's immediately what comes to mind.
Yeah, DNS is awesome. I mean, a lot of the Paul Check stuff comes from DNS.
The whole infant development thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and Feldenkrais as well is similar. A lot of Paul Check stuff comes from Feldenkrais and DNS.
Yeah.
But the thing is with the DNS, like, they are marketing to surfers, but the thing I like about DNS is it's only marketing to surfers. It's not specific to surfing. What it is it's human movement.
Yes.
Which is what surfers need.
Totally.
So it's winding it right back to how do you organize your body correctly for any sport. And then this, by the way, this is how it relates to surfing. So I think DNS is everything I've done. It's the foundation of everything.
Well, it's foundational movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's that basic movement capacity. And then once that's dialed in, you can start adding load and stuff if necessary. Oh, what else is really legit? And I told you about this the other day. Shout out to Speed of Sport, Nick Curson. I think his work's cool. I'll start dialing some of that stuff in. Not to segue, but while that popped into mind. But yeah, the DNS have done 2 courses now, both with Rintala, smart guy. And like I'd expressed to you the other day, like I want, if I was to start utilizing it more, I either need to work with a practitioner personally, have them work on my shit, or just go shadow somebody and see how it's applied or could be applied outside of just the rehabilitative realm, like how to take it into more of a gym setting where people are coming to necessarily load and yeah, I just need to learn more of it, man. You know how it is.
Yeah. I've done like 30 to 50, probably more like 50 one-on-one sessions with a good DNS practitioner, and that's when you really learn about it.
Yeah.
And it's applicable to everything because it's so finely tuned. That's the thing I like about it, is like everything that you learn in DNS is applicable. Like for example, the crawl position, like the fine tuning adjustments of your spine posture in a crawl position is completely applicable to the way you would begin a deadlift, for example.
Certainly.
And then the fascinating thing is that you apply those principles you learnt in the crawl position or the 6-month position from DNS into the way you lift a bar off the floor, and you're instantly stronger. Instantly.
Well, that's it, right? Like if you get yourself into an ideal position where firing patterns can happen more reflexively or optimally, like, you know, get the spine into a right position, and things are just line of pulls or more directionally oriented or something like that. Yeah. Do you think you could do... So here's the thing, and I was talking with some guys the other day about this in the training realm. Could you do a lot of the DNS stuff on your own had you only had like 2 or 3 sessions with somebody?
No.
That's my only... It's this isn't bashing it at all, but I want it to be... I want to find a way to get people to be able to apply it on their own outside of just seeing a practitioner, because like you said, it's so nuance based.
I'm going to re-answer that question and say yes and no. I think if you've only had 2 or 3 sessions with a practitioner, you can improve what you're doing tenfold, for sure. But to do the pure detailed form of DNS, I mean, if you had enough mirrors,
yeah, that's it, right? Surrounded by mirrors, checking spinal alignment.
To be self-aware.
Yeah.
Because it's about fine-tuning your body, your skeletal position, like fine-tuning, like tweaking something 1/4 of an inch, just
minor articulations and stuff.
Just changes everything.
And like I don't want to sound like I'm bashing it at all, because I have a very limited scope of understanding of it. And so as I've gone through the courses, like, okay, how can I apply this? How can I dissect this? And like, I think it's cool. I think it feels good for me personally. It's just figuring out. I need to take more of it to figure out how and when and where to really start utilizing with people more effectively. Yeah.
No, I think anyone out there who is a coach or a trainer or whatever should definitely look into DNS. Mm-hmm. And then anyone who's in pain as well. It's so powerful for pain. That's how I discovered it. I was in chronic back pain. I'd seen everyone. So
what's the go with your back, man?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Let's
it's
switch
fine.
this around.
It's okay now.
Is it?
Yeah. But like rewind the clock back 5 years ago, I was in a cold sweat putting my socks on in the morning.
Pathology kind of thing? Like,
you know, I had herniated lower back discs, basically, you know, had the scans and had chiropractic treatment for it, and acupuncture and physical therapy and physiotherapy and different
nerve pain's crazy,
types of massages, and the list goes on of the different methods I tried, and they all helped somewhat. But then I remember going to my first DNS session and thinking, this is not going to do anything. And I walked out for the first time in years, just almost free of back pain.
What'd you do first session?
The first session was just breathing.
Prone, supine?
Lying on my back with the legs up.
Yeah, so base like 3-month kind of thing.
Yep, exactly. And just breathing, just getting the whole, you know, that core inflated like a balloon, you know, expanding everywhere, getting the whole diaphragm to work properly.
Yeah.
And it just gave me stabilization through the midsection. That was what kick-started me getting out of back pain and getting function back. And since then I've been diving into DNS and just applying it to everything and getting, you know, taking that pain, initially it was pain relief, but then taking that same sort of position and breathing into functional stuff like strength training and surfing and everything else in life. So
cool.
That's how I discovered it, and that's why I'm sort of diving deeper into it and getting qualified. And
good story, man.
Yeah.
How'd you herniate? Was it an acute thing or like over time just...
No, I did have an impact injury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I grew up on a dairy farm. And then when I left school, I kept working on farms. I had a 4-wheeler accident where I landed pretty hard on my right knee, kind of jarred the whole right side of my body, right hip. I think that's when it initially sort of tweaked it. And then, you know, just kept surfing, and which is so much overextension and and then kept lifting and stuff, and then
getting strong, man.
Getting strong. I did all the wrong things in the gym. Yeah. On top of a herniated disc, and that just made it worse.
I think all of us in the health realm have that type of story.
Yeah.
Like I've ravaged my low back before, and it took a long time to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, anyone out there who's got lower back pain, just forget everything you're doing. Try DNS.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So I was talking with Tim Brown, and because the foundation training stuff, it's on this different spectrum. I was like, man, how do you incorporate DNS to FT? Because like at the outset, they seem almost different in terms of the way they go after core activation. And I think Tim put it a good way. Like first, especially somebody in pain, work on those kind of archetypal infant development positions, kind of the DNS thing. Then once you're ready to start adding some load to a system, perhaps start going some of the FT realms.
Actually, when I was in real bad back pain, I started doing foundation training, and it made my back worse. But I think that was because I didn't go and see someone. I just read the book and did the online stuff.
Yeah.
And now that I think back, I wasn't detailed enough with my skeletal position.
For sure.
So then when I learned the DNS stuff, I went back to foundation training with the DNS knowledge, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I think that's probably speaks to the biggest thing. Anybody with like long-term chronic back pain, it's going to take a process of becoming much more physically self-aware.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Like yourself, you exposed yourself to DNS, became way more physically self-aware and acute, and being able to positionally change yourself, and then took it back to FT. And
that's part of why you get out of pain too, neurologically speaking. When you increase the map of your own body, which is in your brain, your somatosensory awareness stuff, that is actually, it helps your body to organize everything better and move better. So
totally,
it's a loop, self-awareness and learning and watching yourself and getting stronger in those positions increases your self-awareness, and which gets you out of pain, basically.
Yeah.
That's basically why all these other modalities work, because they're stimulating your nervous system in a different way. So acupuncture, you're stimulating sharp. Chiropractor, you're stimulating, pressure and fast movement. Deep tissue massage, you're, stimulating the deep pressure part of the nervous system. Right. Reiki, you're stimulating the oxytocin and the soft touch and the warmth part of your nervous system. Physical therapy is soft touch and gentle stuff. So all these different modalities are all stimulating the nervous system in different ways, just to increase body awareness.
Yeah.
And that's why all these modalities work. I mean, they wouldn't exist if they didn't work. They just don't work for everyone, for everyone's condition. So your nervous system is always craving a particular stimulus to get you out of pain and get you back into function. So it's a matter of just finding what that stimulus is. So anyone who's in pain, don't give up.
Modulating the brain.
Just try everything. Try acupuncture, try chiropractor, try massage, try gentle massage, try physical therapy, try Reiki, try DNS, try it all. You'll find what your nervous system needs to get your self-awareness back up and get you out of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I see it.
Totally agree. And I think when it comes to that, there's two aspects I think a lot of people don't necessarily talk about. One is financial capacity. Because like I see it. When I first started at one point I was going back to school for physical therapy and doing some like internships and clinics. And you get people that are necessarily in the medical system and financially relegated to less than optimal care. So being financially capable to invest in one's own health and treatment is such a powerful thing. But we can also, there's a lot of access to information now via the internet, so people can self-apply. The other big aspect, and I've gone through this not only physically, but also with health issues and stuff, is the whole depressive aspect to pain. And chronic pain, you throw some pain meds and on depression and some shitty nutrition, it's gnarly.
Yeah, there's this whole psychosomatic side of it too. So you can go to NOI Group, have a look at Lorimer Moseley's work.
Yeah, all of it.
Yep.
I'd recommend that book to so many clients that are pain issues. I'm like, just go read the book.
I've shared, Lorimer has a TED Talk. I've shared that with clients and it's fixed their back pain. That's how powerful it is for some people, that psychosomatic sort of pain problem. And I'll put links to all this stuff in the show notes, by the way, for listeners. So
Explain Pain.
Yeah, Explain Pain. Lorimer Moseley. That's a game changer, that one too, for practitioners who are treating people too. So where do you point people? The people that can't afford all this stuff we're talking about, where do you point them? It's a good question.
That's a really good question, right? Because some of the physios I saw a physio here in California, $300 a session. brilliant guy, worth it. I charge out anywhere from 100 to 165 an hour, you know, and I'm sure you're similar. And a lot of people just can't afford that. So generally, somebody in pain, explain pain, totally good. I often find myself recommending Paul Chek's How to Eat, Move, Be Healthy. Just get some foundational principles going. Depending on their pain, I guess it depends what the symptom is, like what the issue is, you know, like you might go about a back differently than a shoulder issue or something like that. I think what you and I are probably good at is that we've seen a lot of the field training and modalities, and we have experience. So we're, you know, there's a lot of YouTube info now. So at least you're able to, hey, watch this video and start trying to feel your way through this. Watch this introduction to DNS supine 90-90 breathing and see if you can figure it out. It's tough. That's a tough and good question. What would you do?
I would contradict myself firstly by saying if you're not willing to put your money where your pain is, then good luck to you anyway.
I totally agree. But like, there's people that it's like, okay, am I going to feed my kids and pay rent, or am I going to go see a physio this week?
Yeah, they might not have an iPhone and are not listening to this stuff.
It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, it's a very difficult situation.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you just said. The Paul Chek book, the NOI group videos.
Yeah.
I'll put links to stuff for people who are maybe in that situation as well. But it ultimately comes to save your money. Do some research, find a good practitioner, and go and see. I think most people living in bigger cities who are listening will have access to a physical therapist or a physiotherapist who has done at least one DNS course.
Yes,
and I think that would be a good place for anyone to go to.
Yeah, like my mom's had some wild nerve pain. And I've been on the other side of the world, so I've tried to help her as best I could. But yeah, she ended up seeing a physio in Florida covered by her insurance who had quite a bunch of DNS background. Yeah. So they're out there. It's still out there. Yeah. It's a tough scenario at times. I think another thing with chronic pain or long-term pain is people need to understand that it's going to take time.
It does. It takes time, effort. Nutrition and lifestyle is huge as well. Like, don't forget that. Like, you can go and see the best practitioner in the world, but if you're not getting enough sleep and you're eating terrible food, it's not going to help you too much because you're just so inflamed anyway. So,
speaking to that, so I've actually meant to talk about this on Instagram, and so this is a cool opportunity. So I've coming off all this health stuff that I have had, there's still flare-ups at times, and I've been doing some gut stuff with a guy named Jeremy Princey in West Australia. He's holistic lifestyler on Instagram. Smart guy. And so we started doing, did some general gut testing, really high in like streptococcus, staphylococcus, some other nasty things. Surprisingly, no more parasite infections. So,
all right.
Yeah. And so anyways, started doing some protocols. I've never battled hardcore depression, but I have very low points. I don't really know if it's low enough to warrant medication. I don't know. It is in the family. But starting some gut protocols with him threw me into the most bizarre brain chemistry I have ever felt. The most depressive, dark brain chemistry I have ever encountered personally.
You're not selling it.
But I think I came out, it lasted about 4 days.
Okay.
It's just transition. It's just transition of gut flora. And I think it speaks to, again, this other aspect of health, just nutrition. What's your gut doing? Because if that influences my brain chemistry that hard, think of what that would exacerbate that somebody's already in a heightened system state for pain, you know? And so again, it's this whole relevance of, I guess, you know, the term holistic approach. But yeah, the gut stuff was wild, man. That was the first time I personally felt that it was bizarre.
So you started like a kind of a GAPS diet type, strict diet?
Nutritionally didn't change too much because I already eat largely clean. Modulated carbohydrate intake a bit, but really just started doing some specific probiotic protocols.
Oh, okay.
And it just threw everything into a bit of a bacterial war probably within my system.
Interesting.
And yeah, it was wild. Fascinating.
There's always a lot of debate about the probiotic stuff.
So what I've gleaned from Jeremy is that get your diet right, and you probably shouldn't necessarily be dosing probiotics unless you've had some testing to see what you need. And that made sense to me after discussions with him, or just use some of the more research-based strains. But even then, I think if you're eating pretty damn well most of the time, you're introducing a lot of beneficial things to the system.
Do you sauerkraut?
I do. A kraut.
Yeah.
A kraut. I do some beet kvass.
Do you butcher?
Butcher?
Kombucha?
I'll do some booch. I ain't against the booch. I used to make kombucha. I haven't anymore. Since we've been in Bali, I haven't been doing the fermented stuff, making it. But we'll still eat it for sure.
Keef?
Never done it.
Kefir?
I've had it. I've never made it. You?
A little bit of kefir, yeah. More the water kefir stuff. I'm not so much into dairy.
Yeah.
I used to do the goat's milk kefir a long time ago.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, but now you get water kefir. Coconut water often kefir. You can buy that at Whole Foods nowadays. You can buy all this fancy stuff from the shelf nowadays. You
Off
don't even
the
have to
shelf.
make it. So
Man, being back in the States, so this is the first time I'm back in the States in a few years. Walking into a Trader, because I'm out of Bali for the most part now, and in WA where we were living, there wasn't really access to a Trader Joe's. I walk into a Trader Joe's and just spin out the access to it's incredible. But yeah, California, man, Southern California, a lot of stuff going on over here with access to.
there is.
Yeah.
It's a big part of the culture. You kind of almost need it just to survive here, though. Everything else is so gnarly.
Gnarly. So LA was a wake-up call. I hadn't spent as much time in LA ever until now. And just the in-your-face dichotomy of life, the spectrum. I think I told you when we were chatting on the phone, down the street from my sister's house is a car mechanic where they're just working on McLarens and Lamborghinis and Ferraris. And then right there, some people living out of tents on the corner.
Oh, man.
Heavy.
That's one thing about America. When you come and live here and you realize the homeless people problem is so intense.
Yeah.
I don't know how the government just kind of turns a blind eye to it. It's beyond me.
I saw something come up on the Facebook feed today that they had. I didn't look at it, so I can't speak to its validity or anything, but the headline was something along more than half of those homeless have had some type of TBI, traumatic brain injury.
Yeah. For sure. It's a mental health issue. It's not a homeless issue.
Yeah, 100%.
In New Zealand, people don't live on the streets. It's illegal.
Yeah, right.
But the mental health system in New Zealand would look after them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's why the fuck isn't America doing that to their... Half of them are veterans, aren't they? That served...
Must.
A lot of them, at least.
A large proportion.
That literally served this country, and then the country goes, what's their excuse? They want to live they choose to live on the street. Well, I don't think mental health it's not an answer for the homeless person situation. It's bizarre.
America's a strange place, and I think I can speak to it somewhat just because I've now lived overseas for 5, 6, 7 years or something. America's the best of you're seeing the best and worst, and it's this. I see it almost as going through this weird transitionary period where it's become this thing that wasn't necessarily intended. It's it's weird, man. It's bizarro world, and again, you see this full spectrum of what has culminated in terms of capitalism and investment in technology and development and flourishing capitalism, but you also see the full effect of the downstream of that, the wastes and disregards. And so, yeah, next 50 years in the U.S. is going to be wild.
It's gnarly.
Gnarly. It's exactly it.
It's so bizarre. Well, why doesn't the government look after these people? It's really strange. I think it's really, really sad. The homeless.
Incredibly sad.
I don't know. I don't have the answer, but
no, not
whatever.
At all.
There's no one's even trying. It seems at the moment, people just turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, I certainly don't have the answers, and I'm not politically involved. I just kind of look at it as an outside viewpoint and see that it's a fundamental value system in America needs to shift. The political system's not going to shift. Like, we all know how bullshit and corrupt and all that stuff is. There needs to be our value system has become corrupt in a sense.
I guess you're used to it here in America almost.
Yeah.
It's part of it. So as an outsider coming in, it seems so strange to me how massive the homelessness problem is. And
there's a lot of great things about America. Incredible. Like, I'm astounded. You as well. Us being fortunate enough to be born in North America, Australia, New Zealand, parts of Europe. Like, we're a small percentage of lucky people to have been born where we are born. But in the States, there's like anywhere, there's heavy downsides.
Yeah.
So definitely a transitionary period.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like such a simple fix, though.
Again, but you got to deal with politics, right? It just all comes down to...
Well, duh. That's what it's kind of politicians' job, isn't it?
If only they do their fucking jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously there needs a lot of money put into the mental health system to look after these people. I don't know, but... Yeah,
I have no idea. But something.
I don't know if any listeners have any insights on this, because it's...
I'm sure there's a lot of social workers and stuff that people have brilliant ideas. And again, it just comes down to investment of money and educational systems shifting, and things will change. It's just, you see these positive things being done that come up in my Facebook feed or something, and people diverting parking garages into bedding situations for homeless, and I don't have much awareness until LA. Like I said, I've been overseas the last couple of years, and in suburbia of Florida, you don't see it. But then New York, LA, I hear San Francisco is pretty gnarly.
I went there for the first time a couple of months ago, and it's like, it's gnarly, because not only you've got these lots of homeless people around, they're aggressive, they're yelling and screaming, like it's next level intensity on the homeless people. You got these businessmen in suits walking past some homeless dude who's yelling at a policeman. Literally was like driving through in a taxi in downtown San Francisco. That's the scene.
It's intense. Did you read about the guy they just arrested in Canada? He had been the serial poop thrower. He had been throwing buckets of like human excrement on people. He had done it to like 4 or 5 or 6 people before he finally got arrested. Buckets. Not like just a single like turd. This isn't where you expected this podcast to go.
It's supposed to be about surfing, isn't it?
Buckets. What would you do? If I could even...
It'd ruin your day.
It certainly would. It would certainly ruin your day. It would take you a moment. I was telling my sister, I'm like, okay, first off, I don't know how quickly my brain would shift from shock and awe to like immediate rage and attacking this person. Or would you just be like, so like, what just happened? Like so taken aback by it that you just freeze and stand there and like...
So someone with like walking up to people and...
Bucket, bro. Like
with a bucket?
Like a bucket. Like, yeah.
Well, that's bizarre.
Bizarre.
Only disgusting. In America, right?
God bless America. God bless America. So we're going to take this back to surfing?
Well, there's a lot of semi-homeless surfers around too.
Living in vans and stuff, or what?
Yeah, living in vans, just surfing.
Is there anywhere up and down here you can still camp on beaches?
You see them parked up along the PCH a lot around that sort of around the Topanga area. There's a lot of old school Winnebagos that seem to just be there all the time. So I'm guessing that's where they're allowed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
We call them freedom campers in New Zealand.
It's awesome.
And they have allocated spots next to public toilet.
That's cool.
For them. Like we kind of make space for them. I'm guessing that's what's done here as well, because they seem to always mingle around the same areas.
Yeah.
Where there's the odd portaloo around, so no bucket throwing.
Ooh, so heavy. Time to go get tested for TB after that happens.
Yeah. man, it's hard enough to find a public toilet in any city in America, let alone being a homeless person who's like, what else are you going to do?
And a clean public toilet. You know, like living in Oz, I was always impressed by the cleanliness of public toilets for the most part when you're outside of the major cities. Even Sydney, though, is pretty clean. But like in WA, you'd forever be walking into a public toilet that's just, you're happy to sit upon. You know? Like, it's not like the ones in Venice I was just at the other day.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, you got people almost living in there.
Yeah.
And then, phew.
I love where this conversation went, man.
Yeah.
How are you going to bring this back to surfing?
I don't know. Tell me your relationship to surfing at the moment.
Ooh. I've always kind of, this is interesting because I've had conversations with people on our trips have asked me about this. Because I've always kind of viewed myself as outside of the surf industry and this whole surf realm. And I think I probably need to explain that more articulately, and I'm probably going to struggle doing so. But I've never like been in the who's who of the surf industry. I'm not like the in crowd with the boys. And so I've always kind of seen as kind of fringe. Like, I'm not hanging out with the who's who of the surf world, and I'm often just like I'm not doing this any justice at all. Why don't you ask that question again? And let's restart that. You're going to delete that bit from this. This is going to get
so
edited.
let's say, describe your relationship to the ocean.
Yeah, I have to be with it, man. It's an integral part of my life. Energetically, financially, even now, like my life is intertwined with surfing and with the ocean and involvement with it. I have to, like, I haven't surfed since I've been in California. And if that continued, there would hit a tipping point where I'm like, I need to go surf, or I need to get in the ocean. I think there's something deeply energetic that speaks to that. And so it's an intimate part of who I am, and my life has now kind of become structured around the ocean and interaction with it and helping to influence others' interaction with it. And so I guess I am probably part of this whole surf industry machine. I've just never, growing up, right? Like walking into a surf shop, they were always too cool. And skate shops. Like I was never one of the cool, like, surf dudes.
Surfers are the worst.
They're the fucking worst. Both, like, bunch of egotistical It's a spin out, man. And so in that consideration, I've always kind of seen myself outside it. Like, I don't have people in the surf industry phone numbers and contacts and stuff. And so I've always just been, kind of one of those people that's just really keen to surf. And then it's just so happened now professionally the last couple of years that I think we're probably, like yourself included, the term influencer is stupid and doesn't, but you're spreading information and influencing the way they interact with the ocean, the way surfing is instrumental in their life. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm the same. I used to be so, I guess it's like if you have a good, no, not good. How would I describe it? Like I think if you have a balanced relationship with surfing, then you tend not to dive too deep into it because I think sometimes if you let surfing rule you, then you can just get a little bit too involved. Which I mean, if you're making money out of it and your career is in surfing, that makes sense. But if you're not, then it can take away from other aspects of your life that can ruin your relationships with other things or people.
Yeah.
And so,
I've derailed aspects of my life just to surf or to do it more frequently and change projection of things. And then when we were in Colorado for Thanksgiving, I was like, I could happily stay in Colorado for a few months, but I would need to snowboard. So there would still be that kind of physical need for that kind of, there's something intrinsically awesome about the feelings you get when surfing. And I would still chase that just some other way.
Yeah, adrenaline is part of it.
Adrenaline, yeah.
And immersing in nature.
Nature, I think the physics that you feel in surfing are super fun. The whole, like roller coasters, it's that drop, right?
Yeah.
That type of stuff. Again, it's tapping into all this neurotransmitter and brain chemistry and stuff, but it's just fun. And so there would be aspects of that I would have to translate to my life if I wasn't around the ocean. So that would be inherent. And so, yeah, I'd have to snowboard. I'd happily go snowboard for a few months in Colorado and then probably have to refix my surf stance after that.
Yeah, that's common.
Common, super common.
Yeah.
You can point them, you can see them in the lineup.
Yeah. Twiggy just spoke about that on the previous.
The whole back foot, back leg, knee position thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Twiggy.
Yeah.
It's, I think he and I chat about the back foot thing a lot. It's a halt on progression, that back leg, back knee thing. It will stagnate any further progression in your surfing. Oh,
for sure. And it'll screw your knee.
So, yeah,
longevity. That's the cool thing. Actually, one of the positions in DNS, the 12-month position, basically just mimics good surfing stance, good surfing posture. And what Clayton would say is like kind of in between that squat and lunge position.
The squunge. That's correct. That's physiologically a correct term.
Yep. Okay.
The squunge. Yeah. We can bring it back to surfing. It's getting into more of that athletic sprinter out of the blocks, squungy position. Orthopedically, it puts you, like you get this, we can nerd out on it. Orthopedically, it puts you in a position where you have better access to all your joint range of motion. Like the hips. Your foot points backwards, you ain't going to be able to rotate the pelvis on a fixed, externally rotated femur. So get into that boxer, athletic, sprinter stance position. Be soft.
Yeah, simple. Simple stuff. So where are you living now?
Bali. Yeah, Bali. So the last 2 years we were in WA, a year and a half or two. Yeah. And so we're predominantly based out of Bali for the next at least year or so.
Yeah. And you work one-on-one with clients in Bali?
I do mostly online stuff.
Okay.
And we're running trips now internationally, coaching trips.
When's the next trip?
Me and Clay are at Macaroni's all January, February, end of January, February. So we're doing about like 5 week-long ones there. And then we've got a Ments trip, a boat trip in March. We're at Nicaragua with Jade in June.
What dates? Do you know the dates?
2 camps, 2 10-day camps. I think the first one starts the 3rd. The second one starts the 14th.
Rad. So that's at Malibu Popoyo in Nicaragua.
Yeah, shout out to Jade, Malibu Popoyo.
Yep. I'll put links to that in the show notes.
All trips are full.
Ah, really?
All trips are full except we're going to run a Telos boat trip in November.
All trips are full already.
It's incredible. Like, I never thought I'd be running surf trips, ever. It wasn't even an inkling until I got kicked out of Australia more or less with some visa stuff and met Twiggy. And then I happen to already know Clay, and things have coalesced into running trips now. So yeah, they fill up like 12 months in advance.
Wow. Okay. Well, is it spaces on any trips, or if listeners are inspired to?
Telos, if you're an intermediate surfer and want to go surf Telos, November 5th through 16th, we're going to do a trip on Star Co-op 2 with Bruno, surfer or Mentawai surf charters. Epic boat, man.
And that's like on what details are on your website? Will
be. I haven't even released those details yet, but yeah, first show.
This is exclusive.
Wow, exclusive to the Surf Mastery listeners. Yeah. I think that we've got 10. We'll take 10 surfers on that trip.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll throw a flyer up on Instagram when that's released.
Yeah. And if people go to the website surfstrengthcoach.com, there's a surf trip sign up form. If they look at surf trips, there's a sign up that people on that list are first to get notified. Yeah. So how is Nicaragua?
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good, huh? It's been about 12, 13 years since I've been there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, Nicaragua was amazing. The trip was amazing. The Malibu Popoyo is an amazing resort. Great waves. All sorts of types of waves too. Just within 5 minutes drive. It's paradise. And it's such a cool vibe down there too. Like it's kind of similar to Bali. I think maybe like it's very earthy and volcanic-y. It's like you feel very grounded there. Very
Raw.
you just kind of
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near as busy as Bali. It's super chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, yeah, it's cool. I want to go back soon.
Did you get Popoyo main break good?
Yeah, I've had that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good wave.
Great wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best wave we got was just some random beach break that there was no one at. Just had these beautiful
awesome.
A-frames just rolling through. Just if you want to drive a little bit and go to a random beach break, you just get it to yourself. It's like it's paradise, man.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
And then so Nicaragua, I haven't been there in ages, so looking forward to that. And then I want to go hit up El Salvador afterwards.
Yeah.
Surf some points. I haven't done El Salvador.
Yeah, I was there last year. Surf Punta Roca.
Were you down there with a camp?
Yeah, I was down there. I stayed at a camp, which name eludes me at the moment.
You need to eat some more mushrooms. Get that brain doing its thing.
Maybe. Why can't I think of the name? I was at Puro Surf. Stayed there.
That's the performance camp?
Yes.
Yeah. Marcelo is his name, I think.
That's the one.
Yeah. I've been in touch with those. It looks like they're doing cool stuff.
Yeah, man,
I've been in
it's a
touch
great
with
spot.
him about potentially doing a camp there.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. The wave just out front is called El Zonte, I think. It's a fun little right-hand sort of reefy point break. You can just surf out there every day if you want. You can go drive around the corner to Punta Roca, which is which is a proper shallow, barreling, fast, rippable reef
Did it right?
point break. Like, yeah, it's a right-hander.
Yeah, cool.
I wouldn't recommend that beginner surfers go there though.
Yeah.
But intermediate to advanced surfers for sure. It's a good spot to go to.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. And then, Central, you know what I'm stoked about is the queso frito. So it's like fried cheese. They do it in Central America. It's similar to halloumi, man. One thing about living in Australia, there's no good Latin food.
Okay. Don't worry about the surfing, just the cheese.
The cheese, man. The queso frito and the plantains. Platanos. Los platanos. I'm probably butchering that. You know,
You were definitely butchering that.
I used to be fluent, man. I was fluent in Spanish.
Not the inflections and the
Yo
accent.
quiero queso frito. In college, I even did a study abroad in Costa Rica. Lived with a family for a couple months.
Say that again?
Costa Rica?
No,
Yo quiero queso frito?
Lo quiero queso frito.
Yo quiero. Oh, man, I
Give
have
it
to
some.
get that
Give it some.
You know it's wild. I don't even know if I can do it. Yo quiero queso frito.
It's better,
It's terrible.
but better than your...
I finally started learning Bahasa, Indonesian Bahasa, and even my sister's boyfriend, he's where is he? Is he Venezuela? He's Honduran, I think. I'll drop a little Spanish to him every now and then, and my brain just throws Bahasa into it, like with numbers, like satu instead of uno. Satu taco, por favor.
So can you speak a little bit of...
Man, terribly. Started properly doing some apps, and when I get back to Bali, I'll start working with a tutor.
Mm-hmm.
I think learning a foreign language or musical instrument, two crucial things just for long term, like not having a brain that sucks. And I think
for sure.
with my history of occasional narcotic use and head injuries,
You've had some head injuries?
like knocked unconscious a handful of times. And so speaking with doctors and stuff through health stuff, and need to do is probably all I can for some brain health. So yeah, musical instrument. You got some guitars laying around. Can you shred on them?
I don't know about shred, but
Yeah.
I like to play.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Have you looked into like vision and vestibular training for your
Through Z
TBI?
Health, I've seen. So I've never had I would assume I've had concussions, but I've never had any long term.
If you've been knocked out,
Oh yeah, I've had
concussion's the least of your problem.
So I've never had typical TBI symptoms. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, they can manifest in.
multiple.
They can manifest as gut health issues. Because if you damage that part of your brain, then that's the symptoms. It depends on what part of your brain you damage.
Yeah.
really as to what symptoms you get. It's very specific. It can be anything from mental health to, something your hearing is weird, or your vision is weird, or you don't think, you lost for words, you have gut issues, one side of your body doesn't work right. The list goes on. So depending on what part of your brain got damaged is going to determine what symptoms you have.
Yeah, certainly.
But the thing is that usually the protocols for rehabilitation are always the first point of call which is the first thing. It's actually the first thing you learn to do as an infant is to stabilize your gaze. So to be able to keep your eyes still on one point.
Right.
The better you can do that, the better everything else is.
Didn't you do a bunch of neurology kind of training thing in Oz? I've heard good things about those guys, I believe.
I studied one-on-one under someone else who he's done all the Z Health stuff and all the Carrick stuff. Yeah. So he was sort of my filter.
Cool.
But the gaze stabilization is a big one that you need to look at, especially after traumatic brain injury.
We had a guy miss out on our last North Sumatra boat trip. Got hit by some surfboard out in the water. Heavy concussion, like full spectrum of heavy TBI symptoms. Still.
Yeah. Fix that gaze stabilization.
Yeah, wild. So how would somebody start doing that?
You can look up the Troxler effect.
Okay.
Which is it's kind of like it's an optical illusion which gives you feedback as to whether you are stabilizing your gaze. So in order to make this optical illusion work, you need to be able to stabilize your gaze to a certain level. Otherwise it just won't happen. It's called the Troxler effect. I can put a link to that in the show notes. Basically you practice staring at them, trying to keep your vision still and and being able to move your head slowly from left to right.
Cool.
Can your eyes move independently of your head? That's important. Your vision is the main sense. We basically live through our eyes.
Yeah. And
if that's not working properly, the brain knows that on a subconscious level and just holds everything back. So the more your brain...
constant threat, stress, perceived stress.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. So the more your brain trusts your vision, the better your brain works. Simple as that. And cool. if your vision isn't right there, then everything else isn't right there, pretty much. And most brain injuries are going to affect that, because it's a very fine-tuned skill to be able to keep your gaze still. And actually it's impossible to be completely still. It's your eyes.
What's the term? What's the term for the little slight eye? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's microsaccade would be the term.
That's it. Yeah.
So the smaller those microsaccades are, the better your gaze stabilization is. And when I say gaze stabilization, I don't mean anti-homosexual.
Because you need to clarify. Somebody's going to hit you up on social media. Oh, I'm triggered. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, gaze is in staring, not...
I'm so triggered. I'm going to write somebody to cancel this show.
Yeah, so you can... Your eyes are always moving at small amounts, but if you can fine-tune those small amounts, that's the ability to stabilize your gaze.
Yeah, interesting.
GAZE.
Again, needed to clarify. I got one of my last big knockouts. I was dating a girl and I was living in Sydney, and she kicked up into a handstand, and I woke up bleeding out of my mouth on the floor.
Oh.
And kicked me in the jaw, knocked me unconscious, bit through my tongue, chipped some teeth. Kicked me on the right side, and so now you ever do like just eye circles, like head still?
Yeah.
I always have a hard time upper right quadrant.
Yeah. So then you'd go to that quadrant and work on it.
Yeah. Always noticeably hard there. Woke up on the floor, bleeding in my mouth, walked into the bathroom, moved my jaw manually with my hands to see if it had fully dislocated, and passed back out onto the bathroom floor. And that was the last big one. So now if you watch me talk, I laterally deviate to the right. To my left. Sorry, to my left.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some work to be done.
Fuck, probably.
Yeah. So, vision, I mean, that's your... What was I saying? You're stabilizing your gaze. It's the first skill.
GAZE, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Vestibular stuff as well, like Can you stand on one foot with your eyes closed, for example? Like, that's a skill you need to be able to have. So surprisingly, how many people just can't even do that? Like stand on one foot with their eyes closed.
Difficult. I would tell most people, start brushing your teeth on one foot. And then once you're there, close your eyes.
Yep.
Don't worry about standing on a bunch of unstable surfaces yet. Balance on a foot.
Yeah. Yeah. Balance on your non-dominant foot and use your opposite hand to brush your teeth also.
I try to often eat switching hands.
Yeah. Ambidexterity.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was younger, I used to swing a golf club left-handed.
Most golf pros do some of that to counteract the asymmetry of their sport.
You know, we have a Facebook page that, like, for those that are going through my app, like this community of just surf strength coach community, I think it's called.
You have an app?
Yeah, shout out to my app,
Yeah.
Surf Athlete. Go down, I'll show it to you, man. I'll show you on the phone. Go download the Surf Athlete. There's a free version, and then there's programs for sale within the app. The Surf Athlete's a 12-week protocol. Me and Clayton just released some of his content, or will be, in the app.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what I was talking about. TBIs, man.
Yeah.
I totally lost track of what we were talking about. I have no idea. Literally no idea.
We were talking about TBIs.
Yeah, and then vision, and then I got on a tangent, and then the app came up, and I have no idea.
Yeah. Can't have been that important.
Balance training.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. People like brushing teeth. That's the...
Yeah.
I interrupted you.
I don't know. I've totally lost track.
Yeah.
So yeah, an app. So that was quite a process of technological development.
I can imagine. So how would you describe you mostly work online?
I prefer to mostly work one-on-one with people. With travel at times, that's obviously difficult. So like I've linked up with some people here in LA, done some training, some rehab, some tissue work, some skateboard training. And then do online coaching with some people. I've kind of stepped back from some of the more online coaching processes to just more of the app development the last couple months. Working with a buddy in Bali, getting all this app stuff sorted.
Cool.
So yeah, the app's there. So yeah, I prefer one-on-one. Like my skill set is like you and me in a gym. Let's make you better.
Yeah. So app, go and check out the app, Surf Athlete.
Yep. You can download it in the App Store. Like I said, there's a free version with some free workouts in there. And then just different paid options depending what you want and how much you want.
Yep. And who's your typical client?
35 to 55-year-old professional of some aspect, still wanting to surf and either realizing that their health is a fundamental aspect of their ability to surf. It is the foundation of it, or coming off some type of surgery, injury, kind of rehab thing. So that more post-therapy, rehabilitative, meshing or moving into strength and conditioning stuff. Yeah, that 35 to 55-year-old realm.
Yep. Okay. And website is?
Surfstrengthcoach.com.
And Instagram?
Surf Strength Coach.
All right.
The world of Surf Strength Coach.
All right.
The name's stuck, man. It's too ingrained. I can't change it now.
It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a ride, man.
All right.
Been a ride.
When is the last time you surfed?
Yeah, just before leaving Bali. A place around the corner from Ulu's. I don't want to say the name because it's starting to get a little busier. It's on the kind of east side of the Bukit. Yeah.
East side for life.
I'm throwing up the E right now. You guys can't see it listening. For life, man. So yeah, living in Bali, a lot of surf, a lot of great surf. It's incredible.
Yeah. I surfed on the east side. Place called, like right round on the east side, this wild wave in front of a kind of a lagoon thing. Had to take a boat out.
I think I know it.
I can't remember what it's called though.
You don't need to say it. The word's already out.
Even if it was crowded, it's like such a shifty, gnarly lineup.
Yeah, right on.
It just wouldn't get crowded. Like you need to take a boat out through the lagoon, dodgy boat. Yeah, anyway.
Bali's getting crazy, especially down on the Bukit. I have nothing bad to say about it. And the guys have been going there since the 80s. But what I see like that whole east coast of the Bookit, most of those cliffs are being dredged out for just monster infrastructure of hotels. And there's already such a water crisis.
Oh, really?
Oh, like it's startling. It's absolutely astounding.
Like freshwater crisis, you mean?
Yeah. That, I've only been going there a few years. Like, I don't know it in its heyday, 80s, 90s, but to see the development that's just largely unchecked, it's sad. It's sad. But it's still an incredible place.
Yeah.
Very fortunate to be there.
Yeah, you got to go there at least once if you're a surfer.
At least once. And just as the jumping off point for the rest of Indo.
Yeah. Everyone has to surf Ulus, right?
At least paddle out once.
Yeah.
It's a special place. Like,
yeah, it is.
It's incredible. Fiona broke her nose there just a few months back. My partner, broke her nose.
I'm surprised more people don't get hurt there. Like,
I think more people do.
like when I paddled out there for the first time, like, I was like, wow, this place is gnarly. And I could, half of the people out there, I was like, how did you guys even paddle out? Like,
isn't it insane? Like, I'll get out there some days and I'm like, I'm kind of a little on edge. And there's people just flailing around, man.
Going over the falls on Coral Reef, coming up unscathed. I'm going, oh, you shouldn't even be out here. How are you going to get back in through the cave at high tide? Oh my goodness.
I think more people probably get hurt than we're aware of.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon if you sat on those cliffs, you'd see some people walking up, barely walking up.
Yeah, I did see a few. Yeah.
Because everybody I know, even competent surfers, have gotten fucked up. Like, it's sooner or later, man. Just one bad spill that hits the reef. You're just lucky that maybe it hasn't happened quite yet. But incredible wave. It stresses me out, man. Ulus, like 6 foot on my backhand, starts stressing me out.
Oh, it's the wave is moving so quickly.
So quickly.
The swell is just moving so fast. You don't even realize it. But once you get on one, it's a ride.
Our neighbor, him and these other boys, they're kind of the older crew that are proper chargers, man. Like, he's like, Chris, let's go out. I'm like, dude, it's fucking 12 foot plus and your board weighs like 15 pounds. This is not my type of surfing. But you go watch them, man, it's like 18 foot faces.
Yeah.
Huge, man.
Yeah.
A different level, different calibers. Have you interviewed any big wave chargers?
I mean, I've interviewed Matt Granger, was talking about his big wave stuff. He charges some pretty big waves, but he's not a big wave competitor.
Yeah, but still, it's an impressive.
It's a different. I mean, I've been out with Matt, triple overhead, outer reef stuff, and it's a harrowing experience.
Perfect word.
But I can see it's addictive. Like you have a 2 to 3 hour session in big waves and you get some triple overhead monsters on a gun. There's nothing compares in terms of adrenaline.
Nothing.
And you get nailed by a couple and you wake up the next day and you just feel like you've been hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And just the whole come down from all that neurochemistry, like you're depressed for a week. Like it's gnarly.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole different sport almost.
Yeah, I'd like to. I was linked up with some guys. So like Owen Schultz, you guys go follow him on Instagram. It's called Wavering Emotion, like ocean, like the ocean. _ nicest dude, underground charger, man. And surf with some of those boys on days that they're just like playing around with it. I'm like, man, this is stressful. But yeah, it's I'm really intrigued by themselves as characters, individual people, and to see what's the driver. Because I've, growing up, just always surfed myself. Like, I have never really had many surf buddies. It's usually just been me. And it's, I want to know if it's like a group mindset. Like, do you grow up with some buddies and all of you collectively are pushing? So, like, that's the North Shore thing, right? Like, you grow up and there's this familial expectation and you're surrounded by brothers or people that are. So, I want to know the bigger wave thing, charging thing, because I have a block almost. Like, I need some guys with me to tell me I'm being a pussy.
Yeah, you do. And you want people there too to feel safer. And
totally.
But I think I get the driver. I mean, it's It's just extreme. It's like
It's extreme.
you get into a very deep flow state.
Yeah.
You put yourself in those situations and you kind of step up.
You have to.
Yeah. Time slows down. You get a huge adrenaline rush. It's a thrill. It's addictive. I get the driver for it for sure. It's
Absolutely.
incredible experience. Like I was kind of hooked on it for a while when I was living in Sydney. I was just doing breath training.
Yeah, there's a
every
lot
day
of big
and-
waves around Sydney.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get the driver. But those guys who do the, quadruple overhead shallow waves, that's next level. Like, ugh. It's life. I mean, I guess that just even a deeper flow state, even more risk, even, more, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward per se, right?
We met Shannon Worrall when we were in WA. He does the Shark Eyes deterrent, and he won like Tube of the Year, I think, a couple years back. And those guys that surf the right in WA, like it just doesn't make physical sense to me.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it's chasing something astounding. And I reckon if they weren't surfing, that chase would show up somewhere else in their life.
Yeah. That'd be
Because most of them were chill,
flying.
really
Yeah,
mellow.
that'd be base jumpers or something. Yeah.
Something, finding that chemistry.
Yeah, there's just those individuals that need to do something like that.
It's an altered state, essentially.
Yeah,
And altered states can be really fun.
indeed.
Indeed.
Yeah, no, I have actually interviewed Tom Carroll about it too.
Yeah.
Not the whole interview wasn't about it, but yeah, back in episode 2, I think maybe. I can't even remember. I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
How many podcasts have you done now?
This would be about 50th.
Yeah.
Yeah, close to 50. Yeah, I think I just released the last one I did was 49 with Twiggy.
So what'd you learn from that chat with Twiggy? What'd you pick up? Any gleamingly insights? Because I've learned a lot watching that guy surf.
Yeah.
I physically have learned a lot from him, and the way he has orchestrated his life. He's a good guy, good human.
Yeah, incredibly positive.
Incredibly. Like I was telling you earlier before we started, like I can easily go low. And so for me to be around him is good.
Yeah, he's just froth.
Froth, capital letters.
Like Twiggy's been through some stuff in his life.
Life, man, that's it.
And he's not embarrassed to share it. And he's, which is awesome. You got to appreciate every day. And Twiggy certainly does that. I think that would be how I'd summarize.
Yep.
Yep. Just frothing, like still ripping at 50, like just.
Is he 50 now? Close.
I think he is 50.
If not, he's close. He shreds.
Yeah.
He shreds, man.
He does.
I think
it's inspirational.
Oh, the more, especially now running trips, and the more I've worked with people, and unless there's some unfortunate acute accident and trauma, there's no reason you can't keep surfing well and progressing into the later decades. The refinement of technique.
Oh, yeah.
Figuring out what your body needs.
Yeah.
Mechanically, nutritionally, emotionally, spiritually kind of thing.
I totally agree. And even more so now. I mean, we're just learning so much more about the human body and health and fitness. It's by the time you and I are 50, who knows what's going to be around.
I'm going to be chucking airs.
You never know.
We've got a guy that's joined us on a couple trips named Chris Hislop, legend of a dude. He's got some more years on him than Twiggy, and he shreds. Full shortboard hacks, like. So yeah, seeing more and more of that, and working with clay and figuring out technique, and again just figuring out what my body needs physically. That's it. It's this whole health thing, man. It's just a process of figuring out what works for you.
The bio-individuality.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, and there's the emotional and spiritual component too, which you can't ignore.
Yeah. That's what I need to probably work more on. Headspace type of shit. Not Headspace, the app, but just the whole
Although that does help.
thought. I haven't ever used it. Is it good?
I think it's good. I think that whole mindfulness meditation world, I think that waking up app is better. Sam Harris is just...
Oh, okay, yeah. I know
better.
it. I've been listening to a lot of Dispenza. I do a lot of Dispenza meditations in the morning. His voice is quirky, but I've gotten used to it.
I know. I do Keeley meditation now.
Yeah, we were chatting about that.
I'm on the Keeley buzz. But so it's so easy. It's a quick 5-minute meditation.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest hindrance for a lot of people is their time frame constraints.
Yeah.
So even for me, like if I click on a Dispenza meditation, I'm like, man, this one's an hour. I don't got time for that. Like,
yeah.
So
yeah, it's almost unnecessary too, because you can't focus for an hour.
At least I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And meditation isn't really, you shouldn't be focusing on something anyway. The whole point is to not focus on anything. Meditation. But yeah, no, I've hashed the shit out of Keely meditation on this podcast. Listeners are probably getting sick of it.
They're stoked. They're going to go check out the app. They're going to check out my app. They're going to go watch Big Mouth.
Definitely, yeah.
No, wicked, man.
All right, man. Shall we let's wrap this up?
Cool. It's been good.
Thanks for taking the time.
100%, man. It's good to get on just ramble. That was a ramble. That was epic.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, people want it, don't they? If they're still listening, surely they wanted it.
Oh, they're listening for sure.
Are they still?
Yeah, 100%, man.
All right, what was it? Surf Strength at Instagram.
Surf Strength Coach on pretty much all social medias. Surf Strength Coach. The app Surf Athlete. Go check out Twiggy. Go check out Clay.
Yeah. All right, man.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You try to drown your sorrows. Shouldn't have taught them how to swim. And now you are right back where you began. Winter skies approaching, all alone in the wasteland. Alone is the only way that they let you in. So drink all my wine, cut all my trees, make love on my beaches, smoke all my weed. I am California, can't you see? Wherever you roam, you'll always want me. And we struggle with our love, we don't know what to let in, 'cause the new ones pay for the old ones' sin. Blinded by your shadow, fainted on your love. You don't know how deep you are till you get pulled back up. So drink all my wine, cut all my trees, make love on my beaches, smoke all my weed. I am California, can't you see? Wherever you roam, you'll always want me. Drink all my wine, cut all my trees, make love on my beaches, smoke all my weed. I am California, can't you see? Wherever you roam, you'll always want me. Yeah, dig all my gold, soak in my springs, conquer my mountains, that's what you need. I am California, can't you see? Wherever you roam, you'll always want me. 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 You'll always want me.